What separates you from the other candidates in this forum?
Well, thank you. I'm sure you can tell that we share a lot as far as issues are concerned. But when you're running for an office, you look for more than just what someone stands for. You look for their character. You look for how they're going to act under pressure. You look for their integrity. And I would suggest to you that, again, with the background that I've had, I was a judge. I was a trial court judge in juvenile court for 15 years. And during that time, you see cases of child abuse, child neglect, delinquency, and adoption. And you're kind of a person that tries to sort through human tragedy and try to give, you not only have to make a decision, but then you got to try to convince the people that maybe didn't agree with that decision to go along with it for the sake of putting their family back together. Family is very important to me. And in the other jobs that I've done, I've run 3 different nonprofits. I already told you why I ran for judge, and we made those changes. The crime rate did come down. But the 3 nonprofits that I went for were not particularly career moves. But again, it was me looking at the situation and seeing a need, a human need, an organization that was broken, that I gravitate toward things that are broken. Trust me, the federal government is broken today. It's a huge job. I cannot do it alone, but I believe we can work together with others to make it happen. Finally, I've decided, when I went to Washington a few months ago, I was just outraged at what I saw. Lobbyists lurking literally at every door of every legislator. And I began to think, wouldn't it be awesome if the person running for this office would do what a judge would do? You know, imagine a trial court judge taking money from one of the parties and then deciding fairly the case. Well, that's what our legislators do. That's what they do. They take money in the form of PACs. So I've decided that I'm not going to take any corporate or trade association lobby PAC money during this campaign. Or ever. Thank you.
Mr. Durant, question number 4. What separates you from the other candidates in this forum?
Pete Hoekstra is a friend of mine. Pete's come to visit our schools in Detroit, the Cornerstone schools. So what I'm about to say, I say with due respect and with grace. But we have before us a very important election coming up. And if we're going to beat Debbie Stabenow, we have to say, what are the key differences? You will not beat a sitting United States Senator funded the way she will be funded by the left unless there are clear differences. Pete and Debbie voted time and time again to increase the debt limit of the United States. They can't differentiate Pete's vote and Debbie's vote. You will be able to differentiate it with Clark. The second thing is, Pete voted for the Wall Street bailout. Debbie didn't even vote for that. Third, if you look at even the ability to open up markets for our manufactured goods and our products in Michigan to be shipped overseas, Pete voted along with Debbie Stabenow to close and slow down the opening of markets. At the end of the day, one of the things, I am Debbie Stabenow's worst nightmare. 20 years ago, some friends and I started some inner city schools in Detroit. Those schools have become the finest schools in the city of Detroit, and there are countless residents of that city, and those who have moved to Southfield and other places, who will never have voted Republican before until they've pulled that lever for Clark Durant. And there's no other Republican who has had that kind of relationship with others who have not generally voted Republican. And we will not win this race unless we have the ability to expand our base for people, because let me share something with you very quickly. People, no matter who they are, no matter who their mama was, their daddy was, no matter the color of their skin, their religion, their background, truly want to be better, truly want opportunity. Freedom will give it, Cornerstone gave it, and because of that, there will be significant differences between Debbie Stabenow and me, and differences that Pete will not be able to
Mr.
show.
Durant, thank you for your answer. Mr. Glenn, question number 4. What separates you from the other candidates in this forum?
I have less hair than anyone. I'm the only guy wearing elephant hide boots.
There you go.
there any other Eagle Scouts among you? Oh, got that? But let's talk seriously, and I encourage you to pick up one of these pieces that you can get back there from one of my two sons at the back table, either Hunter, Hunter's named after my dad that survived the attack on Pearl Harbor, and my son Jefferson. They'll be happy to give you one. I ran the campaign that made Idaho a right-to-work state back in the 80s. Michigan needs a right-to-work law. We need a national right-to-work law. That's an issue that differentiates me from Pete Hoekstra. Funded by the Teamsters, endorsed by Jimmy Hoffa. In fact, one newspaper called Pete Hoekstra Jimmy Hoffa's, quote, greatest booster, unquote. As a county commissioner, I was a leader nationally in free market health care reform. And as president in the last 12 years of the American Family Association of Michigan, fighting for family values in Lansing and elsewhere, I co-authored the Marriage Protection Amendment that was on the ballot. Got 60% of the vote, including majorities in Detroit, and Flint, and Saginaw. So Clark, I think I'm going to be able to go find a few African-American pastors who are like family to my family, who will support my candidacy for the U.S. Senate. But I can report to you from talking to Tea Party groups and even county Republican groups across this state, when they find out that Pete Hoekstra voted in favor of the Wall Street bailout, raising the debt ceiling to $11 trillion for the Brady Bill gun control law, for earmarks like the Bridge to Nowhere, that he's funded and endorsed by Jimmy Hoffa and the Teamsters as opposed national and state right-to-work laws, when they find that out, they might vote for him on Election Day rather than have Debbie Stabenow stay in office, but they will not work their hearts out pounding on yard signs, making phone calls, and knocking on doors. And without that, we cannot beat Debbie Stabenow. We need a Republican nominee who can activate conservative and Tea Party activists to work their heart out. I believe that I can. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bowman, question number 4. What separates you from the other candidates in this forum?
Well, I know at least one thing that separates me from one of the candidates in the forum is that if I had had the opportunity to vote on the 2008 Wall Street bailout, I would have voted no. There are other things, though, because we have a lot of other candidates here, and it's really hard to try to one-up people on liberty, and it's really refreshing to actually be in a forum where that's becoming the situation. These other candidates are so great at supporting liberty and small government, but I'll try. I come from a philosophy where I believe people should be able to basically do whatever they want so long as they don't violate the rights of others to do likewise. And as soon as their behavior is infringing on other people's personal behavior or on their property, which is an extension of their own labors and their own life, then that's when we need to initiate, or reply with force, using the government, to stop that kind of violation. Other than that, I don't see a role for government. So, and when it gets to like, some people want to expand the federal government just after talking it down. I heard one person say they want to have a federal definition of marriage. I'll let your church define marriage for you, and you don't all go to the same church. So I'll just leave that to you guys, to your family. I don't believe the government should be doing that. I also don't believe that the government should be involved in these various foreign interventions. I heard one person say get out of the UN. Great idea, I agree. I basically believe we need to have a strong national defense for America, and we need to give other countries a chance to move out of their dependency on the United States defense umbrella so they can defend themselves. And beyond that, we need to keep our money at home. I also believe in ending the federal war on drugs. That may not be popular, but again, it's a private matter. Now, constitutionally, that also means it's a state matter. So if a state wishes to have prohibition, it's up to them. And if a state wishes not to, the federal government should not be butting in and busting medical marijuana clinics and things of that nature. Thank you. I'm Scotty Bowman, Bowman 12.